Sho. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu.
Good morning and welcome to the New York Buddhist Church. Today is Sunday, July 9th, 2023. We'll begin with quiet sitting. Please sit up straight, feet square on the ground. Gently calm your mind and follow your breath. Our chant today is Jusege on page 55 of your service book. Following that will be Vandana and Tisarana on page 7. Our reading, Taking Refuge by Thich Nhat Hanh. Our Dharma message will be delivered by Reverend Gary Shobo Jaskula. Our gathas, Ondoksan and Nembutsu, are on pages 134 through 135. Closing remarks and gratitude, and a closing Nembutsu. Namo Amida Butsu.
Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu.
Gagon chose Please rise for Vandana and Tisarana. We will now have the meditative reading of Taking Refuge, which is by the Master Thich Nhat Hanh, by Reverend Gary Jaskula, and afterwards he will give his talk. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. The meditative reading today is Taking Refuge by Thich Nhat Hanh. I take refuge in the Buddha, the one who shows me the way in this life. I take refuge in the Dharma, the way of understanding and of love. I take refuge in the Sangha, the community that lives in harmony and awareness. Dwelling in the refuge of Buddha, I clearly see the path of light and beauty in the world. Dwelling in the refuge of Dharma, I learn to open many doors on the path of transformation. Dwelling in the refuge of Sangha, shining light that supports me, keeping my practice free of obstruction. Taking refuge in the Buddha, in myself, I aspire to help all people recognize their own awakened nature, realizing the mind of love. Taking refuge in the Dharma in myself, I aspire to help all people fully master the ways of practice and walk together on the path of liberation. Taking refuge in the Sangha in myself, I aspire to help all people build fourfold communities, to embrace all beings and support their transformation. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. So thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Today, I am going to speak very shortly because it's a hot summer day and I'm sure you want to all go out. And can you hear me? Can everyone hear? Can everyone hear now? Okay, excellent, good. I'm of two minds when I say, can you hear me? This might be better if you just took a little nap now, but in any event. So we're going to have a very short Dharma talk today. If you would just bow your head, I'm going to read some words from Shinran Shonin, from the prologue of the Kyogyo Shincho. How joyous I am, Gutoku Shinran, disciple of Shakyamuni. Rare is it to come upon the sacred scriptures from the westward land of India and the commentaries of the masters of China and Japan, but now I have been able to encounter them. Rare is it to hear them, but already I have been able to hear. Reverently entrusting myself to the teaching, practice, and realization that are the true essence of the Pure Land Way, I am especially aware of the profundity of the Tathagata's benevolence. Here I rejoice in what I have heard and extol in what I have attained. Words of Shinran Shonin. Namo Amida Butsu. And if you don't mind, I'm going to read two other versions of that. That one that I read was the standard one from the collected works of Shinran. This one is a translation by Reverend Inagaki. So listen to how they're similar and yet subtly different. What a joy it is that I, Gutoku Shinran, disciple of Shakyamuni, have had the rare chance to meet with the Pure Land scriptures from India and the commentaries by Chinese and Japanese masters, which are difficult to encounter. And I have been able to hear their teachings that we can only rarely hear. Having respectfully accepted in faith the teaching, practice, and enlightenment of the true Pure Land Way, I deeply acknowledge the Tathagata Amida's benevolence. Here I rejoice over what I have heard and marvel at what I have received. And this last one is a translation a little bit different, but my favorite, actually, by D.T. Suzuki. How fortunate it is that I, Shaku no Shinran, but an old and simple-minded ignoramus, should come across the sacred texts from India and Central Asia and their commentaries by the teachers of China and Japan. It is so difficult to have access to them, and now I have them. It is so rare to listen to this message, and now I have heard it. I, wishing to live it and realize it, humbly declare my faith in the true teaching of the Pure Land, and especially I wish to acknowledge my indebtedness to the unparalleled favor bestowed on me by the Tathagatas. Accordingly, I heartily express my joy over what I have heard and deeply cherish all I have gained. Nam Amida-butsu. So 3 renderings of the same text, but in different forms of English by different people. And I feel that this is a good setup for the Dharma talk today, because what I want to talk about a little bit is American Buddhism. American Buddhism. And it's a very strange subject, American Buddhism. It's something that a lot of schools today, other schools of Buddhism, are trying to make Buddhism more relevant to modern life, and they're concerned about how to do that. You know, what to keep, what to transform, etc., and how to evolve. And it's sort of ironic that Jodo Shinshu has been in this country for over 100 years now, more than 100 years. It started in the late 19th century. It came in with the immigrants from Japan, and in many ways, Jodo Shinshu is American Buddhism, if you look at it one way. Obviously, there are other schools, but our school has undergone many of the things that these other schools are just coming to now. What to keep, how to transform. But if you look at it, you know, objectively, Jodo Shinshu has been here for a long time, and they're going through a lot of the things that our Dharma ancestors went through 50, 75 years ago. You know, and we frequently get questions from others, even from our own members, why we do things certain ways. And they are inconsistent, maybe, with things that are in Japan. Not inconsistent, but just not exactly the way they do it there. And for instance, we're seated in chairs in this hondo. In Japan, we're seated on the ground, on the tatami mats. However, the altar is although modified for our space, is very much a traditional shrine. So we kept that, but we leave our shoes on, we're sitting here, we have a service that is based on an ancient service set down by Master Renyo a long, long time ago. And that's the chanted portion we just concluded. But now we're having this sort of thing, which is the Dharma talk and some readings, a reading from outside our tradition from Thich Nhat Hanh. And, you know, and this is one of the ways that we've adopted over the years. And as you know, I am mostly in Albany now, and we have just been passing around an article by Scott Mitchell of the IBS. Okay, he's a great teacher, I understand. I've never actually studied with him myself, but he's a very smart guy. And he wrote an article, not for Shin people, but for others, about this very subject. And it's called Shin Buddhism is American Buddhism. And he's offering to others our experience. And I have the link to it's in Buddha Dharma, which is the Practitioner's Quarterly. It's the winter 2018 issue. But we've been reading that. And I would like not to repeat what is said in that article, because we kind of all know it. It's about Obon and all kinds of stuff that we do, having fairs and potlucks, all the things that make the American face of Shin. But he makes, and so if you'd like the citation, I have it here, and I can give you the web link, the Lion's Roar. But I would like to just riff on 2 points he made, because I think they're valuable for us at this time. This is our time of the July 4th weekend is just over. This is our Independence Day, and we have a lot of questions going on in our own world without Buddhism, who we are, how we got here, what it all really means, right? And so let me just read these 2 points, or read 1 point and then another. He says, about 3 decades ago, anthropologists began to jettison the long-held notion that the proper subject of ethnographic study was the good savage. Have you ever heard that, the good savage? That there's this pure, unsullied past? The good savage existing in a pure, pre-modern state, unsullied by the corrosive influences of modernity or Western culture. Think of the archetypal lost tribe living in a remote tropical jungle. We have yet to fully relinquish the idea that the true Buddhism exists somewhere in a static traditional past. Scholars remain preoccupied with ancient Asian history as the ideal field for research, and practitioners assume that true Buddhism is only what the historical Buddha taught. Okay, so that's an interesting concept right there. And, you know, I have been guilty of it, and I'm sure many others have been too. We're sitting, you know, we come from this school, which has sort of dealt with all these things, and yet we look back and have sort of a nostalgia for a world that maybe never existed. You know, because in Buddhism, as we learned from the sutra we just read and from Thich Nhat Hanh and other places, is about our lives right now. And, you know, there is the traditional trappings and all of that, but is that Buddhism? Is it only in the past? Is it all corrupt now? You know, that's a traditional charge against BCA, by the way. Oh, they're Christians in Buddhist form because we have pews, so call it church, or things like that. But that is not right. That is really not, that is not fair. And to counter this notion that about the noble savage, Scott Mitchell says, all Buddhism is cultural Buddhism. All Buddhism, not only ours in Jodo Shinshu, but all the other schools too, Dalai Lama, everybody. It's all cultural Buddhism. Zen, Shingon, whatever, Theravada, it's all culture. While there may be some aspect of Buddhism that is essential beyond the pall of culture, Buddhism always necessarily manifests in everyday life as a lived religion through cultural practices. A lived religion through cultural practices. Even language is an expression of culture. To translate dukkha, for instance, as suffering rather than unsatisfactoriness is to engage in a cultural interpretation of Buddhism. One could remove the Asian customs from Shin or Zen or Tibetan or Theravada Buddhism in the United States, but those cultural practices would invariably be replaced by others. And that's the only bit that I want to riff on for this article. We are a product of culture, whether we admit it or not. And we should embrace it. And, you know, when I read the passage from Shinran, he describes the journey of the Pure Land teaching from Shakyamuni through India, Central Asia, the commentaries of the Chinese and Japanese masters, and then to him. All of this is part of culture, because we know, just looking at the encyclopedia or online or pictures, that the Buddhisms of various places look different and act different and sound different. And in Japan, Jodo Shinshu might seem different. But really, it is a direct transmission through all of these things. Shinran doesn't say, we do exactly what they did culturally. And it's okay, I'm not against cultural things, because we are cultural people, and you know, it's okay to like stuff like that. That's okay, that's totally good. We like it, we like our ceremonies, we like Jodo Shinshu. We like the formulations we use, we like our scriptures, we like it. It makes sense to us. But it may be a little different somewhere else. And we should embrace that rather than be afraid of it. You know, because it's a nice thing. You know, I was thinking when I read this of one of the things about the Pure Land was that they were trying to democratize, in a certain sense, Buddhism for the common people. And I'm thinking of one of the great masters in our lineage, Genshin, who was a Tendai monk, lived hundreds of years before Shinran, I believe. And there's a story about him that I like to think about, and it is he had one of those mothers who was really tough. You know, he was a Japanese mom. You know, and he goes to the monastery at her encouragement to find the way. And he takes to it. He's actually a brilliant guy. He is great at all the sutras. He knows all the chants. He is a superb preacher at a very young age. He's like 20 years old. The emperor invites him to discourse on Dharma in the palace. This is a big deal in Japan, really big deal. And as a reward, the emperor gives him a magnificent robe, you know, and you've seen some of the fancy robes that we have here, but also the bishop comes. Well, even in Japan, they're even more, you know, more elaborate. Some of them are worth, you know, what a fancy car would cost today. But so he gives him this fancy robe, and that was a sign of attainment. And he writes to his mother, "Mom, the emperor liked my Dharma talk, and I got this wonderful robe," thinking that she would be happy. And she says, no, I sent you to the monastery to learn the way to enlightenment, not to get fancy robes. So go back. and apparently he did, and he remained a great teacher in the Mount Hiei tradition, and achieved very high rank, and wrote a treatise that Shinran and Honen, his teacher, loved about Namo Amida Butsu, about taking refuge in the name of the Buddha, our tradition. And so Shinran, who relies on Genshin's, as a foundational teacher, doesn't go back and say we have to do things the way he did. That's the point I'm trying to make from this. That we look at the historical things that we came from, and the idea is to discern what's good and still necessary, and what we like, and what isn't that important. And it's always going to be a little bit of a dialogue, both within ourselves, within the denomination, within Jodo Shinshu itself. The fine points of the three versions that I've read, there were other versions that are equally interesting. The scholars will debate them and fight over them, like scorpions in a bottle, but that's their job, that's what they're doing. They're trying to find the truth. But for us in America now, we are, the teaching goes in the text from China, from India, then to China, then Japan. Well, now it's come here. And it's been here for 100 years. And the thing is, just by that fact, little changes, not in the faith, not in the understanding, but in the practice, in the way it is done, happen. And some people get really bent out of shape when they hear a different translation or something like that. That's another motive that I had to read 3 different versions of it. We're very lucky to have 3 different versions of it. There was a time when I was starting out that there were no versions. There were, but you had to really know how to get them. But now it's fairly easy. You can go online, it's all there. English, good English. And Reverend Ron Miyamura, our supervising minister, always said, don't get hung up on the translation. Use all of the translations. They're all fine. He's not trying to be a dumbbell or anything like that, or anti-intellectual. He's really saying they really try to do it right, and they're telling you something. And I would imagine that's true of other traditions as well, reading their scriptures. But we should not get hung up on stuff like that, or whether we start with a little meditation in Japan. Sometimes that's a controversy. Oh, no meditation, you don't need meditation. But when you understand what you can and can do about meditation, then meditation isn't a big deal. We know Namo Amida Butsu, that's the only way for us. And that's what was true for Shinran too. But that doesn't mean you can't meditate. So in the United States, many temples realize that people coming to the temple are looking for meditation, and many temples, including ours, for a long, long time now, offer it. And it isn't Zen meditation, it's Jodo Shinshu meditation. It's meditation to realize our limited selves and then rely on the other, rely on the Tathagata, on the name of the Buddha. So that is what I would like to say for today on this hot summer day, is that happy Independence Day for us. Don't get hung up on small things that are not important. Focus on the big things, because they never change. You know, our crazy world and our limited selves, that's the stuff of the Dharma. It was true in the time of Shakyamuni, and it's true now. And it isn't about this kind of robe or that one, these beads, lying the incense. Those are all nice things, and we like them. Don't misunderstand me. But that is not it. It's your life. That's it. Your life, my life, our life together. That's it. And if you keep that in mind, you will be cool, you know. Think of how many horrible things happen in our country by people having an interpretation of the past. That, oh, the founding fathers didn't say this or didn't say that. Think of how much misery is wrecked on the world for concepts like that. Well, sometimes it happens in religions too. We should not fall into that trap. So we always want to respect the tradition and do the best we can with it. You know, and I know Reverend Isabel and I and Reverend Cheryl, we have always tried to be diligent in the ceremonies and stuff like that, but they are not the end of the world. They are not. They're for you and for us, and it's our way to learn these things. But the real inner life is your inner life, my inner life, and that's where the emphasis should be. And Shinran says, I, wishing to live it and realize it, that is the reliance on Amida Tathagata, humbly declare my faith in the true teaching of the Pure Land, and especially I wish to acknowledge my indebtedness to the unparalleled favor bestowed on me by the Tathagatas. Accordingly, I hereby heartily express my joy in what I have heard and deeply cherish all that I have gained. And let us do likewise. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. So thank you.
Everyone's very quiet. That was a very wonderful talk, wasn't it? Thank you so much, Reverend Gary, for sharing those very deep insights. It's given us a lot to consider and think about the true and real meaning of Namo Amida Butsu in each of our lives. So now we will have our gathas, which are on page 134 and 135 of your service book, on Dokusan and Namo Amida Butsu. Please rise if you are able. Please be seated. So nice to see you all here today. Is anyone here for the first time? Anyone? Oh, well, please stand and introduce yourself to us so that we may greet you.
Hello, my name is David.
And how did you come to be here today?
I just Googled, that stumbled upon you all and decided to explore.
Wonderful. Well, I'm so glad that you chose to join us today. I think maybe you were meant to be here for service, and I hope you enjoyed it.
I did. Thank you very much.
Everyone is welcome to join us. We appreciate your presence. This is why we have these services, so that we can all join our voices together in Onembutsu, and as well as for our virtual Sangha. We're happy that everyone can join us, whether virtually or live. So let's see, do we have any announcements today? No?
Obon next week.
So next week will be our Obon service, and we will have a special guest speaker, recorded unfortunately, but the service will be at 11:30 next Sunday, and Reverend Kurt Rai of Ekoji Buddhist Temple will be our speaker. So we hope that you can join us for this very important service. Due to difficulty with Bryant Park, we will not have a live Obon festival as we usually do in July, but we're working on something for August. So there may be something in the works that may be a hybrid service. We will let you know as we go along. And David is holding something up.
We also have the candle donation form that is,
Yes.
deadline is today if you want to get those in.
Yes, and if you are watching live, you may go to our website, which is newyorkbuddhistchurch.org, and if you go to the community page, you may download and fill out a form for a candle in remembrance of a loved one or loved ones who've passed away. And there is also a link to make a donation. We are suggesting $10 per name, per candle. And that form is on there as well. And we really do appreciate your dana, your generosity, your donations, because they help us to keep this aging facility in suitable shape for our services. So we are very, very grateful. And we are also grateful for your membership. If you've been coming regularly, please consider becoming a member. There is a membership form which you can download also from the website. If you scroll, there is a page marked membership. And we love it when newcomers become old-timers. So please do come again. So I would, following that, we will have several other guest speakers this summer. Reverend Chiemi Onikura Blai, who is with the Twin Cities Buddhist Sangha, will give a talk in both Japanese and English. And following that, we will have Reverend Ron Miyamura of Midwest Buddhist Temple, who is our supervising minister, will come back to give a talk. And let's see, following that, we have our yearly Hiroshima-Nagasaki service. And then we close for a few weeks for the summer. However, several of our online groups will continue, including our movie group. So our group, Buddha Goes to the Movies, will be meeting on the 15th? On the 15th of this month. And, I'm sorry? 22nd. Oh, that's right. On the 22nd of this month, I believe on the 15th, we have our Dharma chat with Reverend Gary and myself, which will also meet again on 29th? I think the 29th. We're very happy. If you wish to join us, you may find the links again on our community page. So, any other announcements?
The Hiroshima speaker will be Reverend Kusunoki.
Yes. I just want to get confirmed on that.
Yeah.
So we have a very special guest speaker for our Hiroshima-Nagasaki service, who is a Rinban Reverend Katsuya Kusunoki. And he was born in Hiroshima, and he has a very personal connection to that service and to that city. So we're really honored. He is a very articulate and a wonderful speaker, and we will really be honored that he has agreed to be our speaker for that service. So again, all the services are at 11:30 a.m. on Sundays. And you can find our full schedule on our website calendar page. So trying to think of anything else. So I'd like to thank today our greeter, who was Ruth Funai. I'd like to thank our pianist, John Skelly. Thank you both so much. Our wonderful tech team of David Brady and David Brady today, who does a wonderful job, who has tirelessly in the last few years since COVID kept us online and enabled us to share the Dharma virtually with you, as well as giving us a terrific sound system that enhances the experience for everyone. I'd also like to thank Junko Yamakawa, who is the Ikebana teacher, for donating the beautiful arrangements which enhance our Naijin so well. If you're interested in taking classes with her, there is a flyer outside. We have many cultural offerings at New York Buddhist Church, including Japanese dancing and others. So I encourage you to look online and find something that interests you. And if it's just coming on Sunday and chanting together, we love that. And we're very happy you chose to spend your Sunday with us. So please join me in Gassho, and let's have our closing Nembutsu. In gratitude for this time together, in gratitude to everyone who works so hard on the New York Buddhist Church to keep us going, both in the office, my fellow minister assistant, Reverend Gary, who gave such a wonderful talk today, and to all of you who chose to spend your Sunday with the New York Buddhist Church as one Sangha. Let us say with one voice, Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Thank you. See you soon.